Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, I am creating this video for everybody, especially for my speech class, secondarily to my phonology and morphology major students, because I want both of us to have a common point of reference, especially when it comes to sounds and symbols. With my VLE uploaded materials, I think there is a discrepancy in some of the, especially with the vowels, that there are vowels in the VLE uploaded that are not in consonance with what I have, especially in my speech improvement workbook. So I am creating this video for us to have a common point of reference. No? So let me start by uh, defining what speech is, because I believe that you already know what communication means. So communication is something to do with whether it is written or oral, the uh, conveyance of meanings, no? The conveyance of the messages. And I know that you know the flow of communication, that it starts from the source or the speaker carrying the message and received by, of course, the receiver. But along the way, there may be some distractions, uh, which will somehow give an impact to the message that is being conveyed. Which means that the message that is conveyed by the source or the speaker may not be perfectly the same message as the receiver will receive. This is already dependent upon the flow of the communication process, because of as what I said earlier, the distraction. So it may be a noise, it may be that there is a deficiency in the conveyance of the message, or whatnot. So that's the flow of communication. Now, when it comes to speech, let us try to define speech in two ways. No? First, it is the faculty of uttering articulate sounds or words in order to express thought. So when I speak of the utterance, I mean it is the use of the mouth in order to convey the message. Because again, in the process of communication, there are two ways. It may be oral or written. So in here, because we say it's a speech, then I am speaking of the utterance of the words with the use of the mouth. So I mean to say that I am focused on the oral communication and not the written. Now, when I say the articulation of sounds or words in order to express thoughts, that is where the sounds and the symbols will come in. And that is what I am saying, that I want both of us to have a common reference or a uh, common point of reference when it comes to symbols and sounds. Okay? So, however, speech is more than the articulation of sounds or words, because it is a means of communicating ideas organized and developed according to the needs of the listener. So in phonology, which we call the study of the speech sounds, is the basic unit of speech sound, which is what we call phoneme. Now, there are two types of phonemes. One, that's what we call the segmental phonemes, and that is what I'm going to discuss again in the later part of this video, where the vowels, the consonants, and the diphthongs are, and the other one is the suprasegmental phoneme. What are these suprasegmental phonemes? These are speech sounds that do not build up words, but they make up the prosodic features or tonal qualities of language. And when I speak of the suprasegmental phonemes, I mean these are the stress, the pitch, the junctures, or this is what we call the phrasing, and we also have what we call blending. As I present to you later the consonant sounds, I can also discuss with you what blending is. So In the articulation of sounds or words through the use of the mouth, the speech organs are the most important parts. They play actually the production or the articulation or the utterance of sounds. So when I speak of these speech organs, which are classified into four, we call them the respiratory or the breathing apparatus, the vocalizing apparatus, the resonating apparatus, and the articulatory apparatus. The respiratory or the breathing apparatus are the ones that are in motion or in action when or before we are able to produce a sound, because these are what we call the stimulators or something that causes vibration. What are these respiratory or breathing apparatus? We have the lungs, we have the trachea, we have the diaphragm, we have the abdominal and the rib muscles. Let me ask you a question before I proceed. What do you think is the main ingredient in producing a sound? Do you know what it is? Before I can be able to say, that's a sound, that's a distinct consonant sound. Before you can be able to say, what do you think is needed? Aside from the different organs that are used in the production or in the utterance of the sound. It is the air, right? It's the air that is the main ingredient in producing sound. You can never produce any sound unless you have an air. So remember that, no? The air is the main ingredient in producing any sounds. So that when we speak about the respiratory or the breathing apparatus, what do you take in and what do you blow when you produce a sound? It's the air. So again, the respiratory or the breathing apparatuses are the lungs, the trachea, diaphragm, the abdominal, and the rib muscles. They are the ones that are needed when you breathe in or when you take in air or when you produce a sound. Okay? Just like if you want to feel it for yourselves, when I say inhale, can you imagine what are the speech organs that are in motion? These are actually the ones that I mentioned earlier. Okay? Now, what do you think will the air go as you breathe in air? Where is the air stored? What among the different speech organs takes care of keeping the air that you breathe? Is the lungs, right? Is the lungs. Okay? So what happens? What do you do with the air in order for you to produce a sound? That air should pass by your vocal cord, no? And this is actually the one that vibrates before you can be able to produce a sound. Now, what are the two vocalizing speech organs? Of course, we have, what do you find in here? The larynx, which contains your vocal cords, and anything that is attached to the larynx, which we call the laryngeal muscles. Okay, so these are the two vocalizing apparatuses. The third classification of the speech organs is called the resonating apparatus. They are simply called the resonators. What do these resonators do to the air that you breathe in and that you blow when you produce a sound? The function actually of the resonators is it reinforces that vibration that gives quality or timbre to individual voice. What are these resonators? One, we have the mouth. Next, you have the lower jaw. The third, you have your uvula. Sometimes it is spelled uvula. So when it is spelled uvula, then you have to call it uvula. The last one is the throat. The throat that actually includes the pharynx, the nasal tract, and your cavity. The last classification of the speech organs are called the articulators or the articulatory apparatus. What is the function of these articulators? It's actually the one that gives shape to the tone. There are 6 of them. Number 1, the lips. So you see the function of the articulator, it gives a shape to the tone. The lips is considered to be an articulator because uh, you are producing different sounds as you shape your lips. Just like, for example, when I'm going to keep my upper and lower lip close together, no, that not a single air can come out, then I am producing the sound. So you see, where is the passage of the air now that I am producing? It's actually in the nose. Okay? So it gives a shape to the tone. Second, you have the teeth. If I close my upper and lower teeth together, just like what I did with my upper and lower lips, then I will be producing a distinct sound. If I'm going to open a little my lower teeth, then I will be producing another sound. So you see, look at the function. Articulators give shape to the tone. Number 3, it's the gum ridge. Number 4, it's the hard palate. Number 5 is the soft palate. And most of all, number 6, it's the tongue that gives a shape to the tone. For example, if I say, L, where is my tongue? What is the shape of my tongue when I say L? It is touching my gum ridge. Okay? You know where your soft palate is? You know where your hard palate is? No? The one that is in front is actually the soft palate and the hard palate. If we are going to put a demarcation line between the hard and the soft palate in the roof of the mouth, the one that is the hard palate is the one that is near the throat, and the one that is near the front teeth is actually the soft palate. Okay? So I could have given you a breathing apparatus so that you can at least imagine how the air is moving and where you keep and when you are going to release the air that you breathe. But since we do not have the face-to-face interaction, then I think you can just do it by yourselves. You can do the breathing apparatus to see for yourselves why is the diaphragm included as part of the breathing apparatus, and so on and so forth.